Hey, it's Mr. Eck back here, and we're coming to the end of our study on exploration and colonization. And as you know, all of our learning is built around learning targets. So let's take a moment to review them because you're going to need them on the upcoming summative. One, you're going to need to understand the reasons for American colonization, or basically going to have to tell who came and why that they came. Two, you're going to have to talk about the effects of colonization on Native Americans. And lastly, you're going to have to understand the differences between the industrial North and the agricultural South. But before we get started talking about the agricultural South, I'd like for you to see the big picture. Who came to America and why? And I want you to see it as a horse race. For some, it's going to be like a sprint, and some, it's going to be like a marathon. For the Spanish, it's going to be like a sprint. They're going to come and they're going to look for land. They're going to come in search of gold, but they rarely establish colonies as we know them. The French, they too are in the horse race. They too are looking for land, and they're going to trade with Native Americans in Canada and west of the Mississippi. And they're going to be semi-successful. And lastly, the British, who see it as a marathon, are in it for land, for gold, and for religious freedom. So my goal here is to take a moment and to share with you the Southern Colonies, and Mr. Landseidel will show you the Northern Colonies. The goal is to give you an overview of Southern housing, economy, climate, slavery, and religion, and we'll take them one at a time to give you some information to help you fill out your T-chart and your assignment. So let's get going. First, I'd like you to look at the map. If you look at the map, you'll notice that the Southern Colonies are basically large areas of land, and they're going to use that land basically for farming. There'll be fewer cities than you'll find in the North, but the land will be richer, more fertile, and be very, agreeable to farming. And they will be growing tobacco and cotton. So when the average settler came from Europe, they didn't really have a lot of money. If they were coming to the South, they would, be basically looking to get involved in farming and agriculture because they've heard that you can make big profits with your tobacco. But they didn't have enough money, so they would build the not rich ones would build like a log cabin house, which they call the dog trot house. Now, don't ask me why they call it the dog trot house. I really don't know, but it's really not very fancy. It's just very efficient. It was just like the starter house. It got them going. It allowed them to open up their fields and start planting. On the other hand, you would have rich farmers, and they would get largest tracts of land, and they would be in agriculture, and they would build bigger houses for their families and their servants. Now, the Southern economy is based on farming, and as you know, thanks to John Rolfe, tobacco quickly became the cash crop of the South. But over time, cotton will replace tobacco as even a bigger cash crop for Southern planters, using up more and more of that fertile land, for farming. So why are they able to farm so effectively and the North isn't? Well, the Southern climate, it has a rich, fertile soil. It's going to make cotton and tobacco growing ideal. And the reasons are very simple. In the South, the temperatures are overall warmer year-round. They're going to get enough rain or moisture, and only occasionally will they have snow or rain to ruin their crops. So they're able to grow longer and make more money from their crops. Which then goes to the idea, well, who's growing things for them? Well, we have to talk about slavery. And slavery gets a little bit tricky. For at first, we have to talk about this idea of indentured servants. With the need for more workers working the farms, a group is going to come and they're going to be called indentured servants. These people are going to work for 7 years, and normally they're going to get their ears pierced as a recognition that they are working for somebody. And after 7 years of working, the owner of the land would give them their freedom, and then they would also give them to land. But as the size of the farms grew and tobacco crops prices, rose, the need for slaves is going to increase. And by the year 1700, there'll be over 25,000 slaves in the Southern colonies. Now, we also have to talk about religion in the Southern colonies. The Southern colonies are going to have a mixture of religious beliefs. Many colonists still belong to the Anglican Church or the Church in England, and others had diverse religious traditions, and even the Georgia colony had freedom of religion policy. So there's a quick brief overview of what's happening. Below, I've given you a series of notes that you can use to fill out your T-chart. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, email, or any other contact, and we'll get back to you. Thank you, and let's get busy.